A man drank 7 liters of soda every day for at least 10 years.
That's crazy.
This is what happened to his kidneys.
That's literally crazy.
B.A. is a 48-year-old man presenting to the emergency room with sudden onset weakness.
Bah.
The admitting nurse immediately notices that B.A. can't stand on his own. He sits in the chair, limp like a rag doll. B.A. was a dad living a normal life, but he had a habit rooted in excess. When he was 30, he got a new job. This office would stock free unlimited soda for employees to drink. The HR lady loved to tout this as a wonderful benefit for a great place to work.
Okay.
Unfortunately for B.A., this availability would enable a dark tendency in his life. Over the years, B.A.'s daily soda intake would gradually increase. He loved the fizzy feel at the back of his tongue every sip he took. He thought he might have had a problem one day when he looked at his desk and saw empty soda cans everywhere. The most disturbing part about this was that he had just cleaned up from the day before when there were empty soda cans.
Yeah, that's
10
the
years
problem.
ago, when B.A. was 38, he noticed that something was wrong. Every day, he'd wake up thirsty. He tried to quench that thirst by drinking his normal morning soda, but the more he drank, the thirstier he got. In the bathroom for the 10th time in 2 hours, B.A. had no idea how he was urinating that much fluid because it was just so much more than the amount of liquid that he thought he drank. His stomach hurt, he was short of breath, he had a brain fog that would have him stutter and slur his words. And then one day, B.A. woke up and he was in the hospital. The most recent memory he had was something that happened 3 weeks ago. His wife told him that his coworkers found him unconscious at his desk. B.A. had had a diabetic coma. His blood sugar had been sky high for at least the last 3 months, and it was high in the hospital despite not eating anything before he finally woke up. But not only that, B.A. also had high blood pressure and high cholesterol as he was placed on medicines. Doctors here didn't know about B.A.'s excessive sugar drink consumption. No one told them about it because it was then a normal fact of life. He was advised to
this is
pursue
why I
a
tell
healthier
y'all,
lifestyle with
drink that
diet
water.
and exercise.
Drink that
B.A.
water,
knew in the
man.
back of his mind that his soda habit may have
This
been a
soda
focal
ain't good
point
for
in this
y'all.
episode, but it wasn't so clear to him. He had been stressed at work recently, and his eating habits weren't really that great. He cleaned up his diet, started working out. Instead of drinking regular soda, he'd elect for the 0 sugar about half the time, even though he didn't really like it. And things were going great, but only for a while. B.A. eventually left that company.
Can I tell you something right now? Diet soda is no better than the original soda. It is not better than the original soda. What do you think they had to do to make it diet? Please tell me. What do you think they had to do to the soda in order to make it diet? Just drink water. Like, it's really not that deep. I don't even like soda. And I'm not even gonna hold you. I used to, like, back in the day, really like soda. But, like, now, like, you barely will see me drinking soda. Maybe ginger ale. Maybe. Or Sprite. And when I say I barely drink those, I barely drink those. I'm more or less like, I either drink water, juice, or tea. Like, any of those three. Other than that, I don't really drink anything else. Like, because I don't like coffee or soda. It's just not good. And as you can see, too much of it can lead you in the wrong places.
Free soda at
as you
work.
can see.
He found himself going
I
to
don't
a
know what he's
warehouse
doing.
club to purchase bulk packages for his own consumption, and
That's
he'd
just
drink so much that he'd burn
crazy.
an entire case in a single day.
Oh,
One
heck
day,
no.
B.A. wasn't feeling well. He thought maybe he had eaten something funny about a week ago when all of this started happening. When he got out...
You think you ate something funny, but you've been drinking mad soda every single day? My boy, that's denial. Like, you're in denial. How you figure after all them sodas that you ate something wrong? No, you drunk something wrong, my boy.
That morning, it was hard to
That's
stand.
crazy.
He could feel a dull sensation, almost like a cramping in his calves, and he noticed that he was urinating very often again. He got up from his chair to go to the bathroom again, but he felt his legs go soft as he collapsed to the ground. Knowing that something was wrong, he calls for 911, and he's brought to the emergency room, where we are now. At examination, the medical team noticed B.A.'s profound muscle weakness. He told them that it happened suddenly, but he hadn't been feeling well for at least a few days before. His medical record showed his history of diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. That's all they knew about, but at this visit, there's a few clues as to what's happening. A blood test finds that B.A. has hypokalemia. Hypo meaning low, kali referring to potassium, or more formally kalium as shown by its symbol on the periodic table of elements, and emia meaning presence in blood. Low potassium presence in blood. It wasn't just a little low, it was life-threateningly low. But why is this a problem? That same blood test finds that BA not only has hyperglycemia, high sugar presence in blood, but that his kidneys are also shutting down. Wastes that are supposed to be filtered out by the kidneys are now detectable in high amounts in his blood. These wastes aren't specific to soda consumption. They're a measure that his kidneys aren't working like they should be, but this wasn't his only problem. That blood test also indicates that parts of BA's muscles have been damaged and they're spilling their contents out. This is called rhabdomyolysis. Rhabdo meaning striped, or in this case striated, referring to the appearance of myo, meaning muscle, and lysis, meaning a breaking down of. Striped muscle breakdown. This is also life-threatening, and it's happening because of BA's hypokalemia. The human body has electrolytes everywhere. The electro prefix means that they're electrically charged, just like the plus and minus that you see on a battery, so they can be used to send signals throughout the body. The most abundant electrolyte outside of cells is sodium, but the most abundant electrolyte inside cells is potassium. When muscles contract, signals from the nerves arrive. Sodium from outside of the muscle cell rushes in, initiating the contraction. The body needs balance because sodium is an electrolyte, meaning that it has an electrical charge. More of it flooding into the cell causes the positive charge to build up. To balance this, potassium, which is mostly inside cells, rushes out of the cell. Then calcium commits to the contraction by changing the shape of muscle proteins. When it's done, potassium flows back into the cell as part of relaxation. But in BA's case, it doesn't finish this way because he has hypokalemia. This could explain why his muscles are weak, because the signals to contract and relax aren't normal anymore. It can explain why his muscle is breaking down and dissolving into his blood, because when potassium is released from muscle cell for contraction, it appears to dilate nearby blood vessels, helping more blood flow to the muscles. But when none of this is around anymore because of hypokalemia, then blood vessels don't get dilated. The muscles start to have a lack of oxygen because less blood gets to the area. The muscles are very metabolically active. They need lots of oxygen, and without adequate blood supply, bad things can start to happen. But here's the problem. Shouldn't rhabdomyolysis cause BA's potassium to go up? Potassium is mostly inside cells, and his muscle cells are leaking their contents into his blood. Why does he have low potassium presence in blood then? Well, it might be that his muscles haven't undergone this for long enough to leak enough potassium out. Or there's another force inside BA's body aggressively taking potassium out of his blood, outpacing any amount that could be added by rhabdomyolysis. This could suggest that BA has a problem that hasn't been documented by the medical team before, but what could it be? The medical team tells BA what they want to do. If he has low potassium presence in blood, then they're going to give him potassium. If his kidneys are failing because muscle proteins are gunking up his tubules, then pushing some intravenous fluids through his body should help get water flowing through and should help flush out that muscle protein while replenishing his potassium.
But he's drinking all that doggone soda, so I mean, what do you expect?
If his kidneys are inappropriately wasting potassium, then this could explain to them what's going on, and they'll be better equipped to address the root cause.
Don't be surprised if it is. I mean, he's drinking all that soda.
So clear to them. As the hours pass, BA gets thirsty. Often when someone
drink
is on
some water.
IV fluids and the patient doesn't drink anything for several hours, they can complain of dry mouth and throat. This was happening to BA, but not only that, he was also having a massive headache. BA was admitted into the step-down unit where the entire medical team would check in with him in the morning, and throughout the day, the nurse might drop by one time in a shift. The hospital was big and busy, and he was in the part of the floor where there weren't that many people. His condition could descend into a medical emergency quickly, but that's why he was being monitored, and he was in the hospital. BA, frustrated and not feeling great, called his wife and asked her if she could bring him some drinks, if he needs fluids like the physician.
Bro. So you're in the hospital. You're asking your wife, can you bring some drinks? Drink some water. Bro, why is it so hard? Like, you're in there for a reason. Let's go.
Said he couldn't think of a better way to get some in his body. and she brought it as he drank soda in his hospital room.
He's
and the more
crazy.
he drank, the thirstier he got.
My
BA's headache went away.
my man. The reason you're in the hospital is because you're drinking soda. You're going to drink more soda in the hospital room? My guy. My guy. Let's go.
His dry mouth fixed and his thirst quenched. The next day, at morning rounds, the medical team finds that he still has hypokalemia, despite getting IV potassium. But when they look closer, they find that he had made a total of 4 gallons of urine in the last 24 hours. The medical team had only given BA about 1 gallon of intravenous fluids over the last 24 hours for his kidney injury. If he urinated out 4 times that amount, the medical team has no idea where that came from. They talk more about this. Persistent, severe hypokalemia, like the one that BA has, can cause a problem called diabetes insipidus, which is different from the type 2 diabetes mellitus that he was diagnosed with years earlier. The word diabetes, coming from ancient Greek meaning to pass through, referring to the massive amounts of urine put out by someone who has this problem, as if water is passing right through them. And insipidus, from Latin in, meaning not, and sapidus, meaning tasty. A pass-through of urine that isn't tasty, because back in the 1400s, when the word diabetes first appeared in English medical literature, they might have diagnosed problems of excess urine by tasting the patient's urine. That's why what we know as type 1 and type 2 diabetes today are called diabetes mellitus. Mellitus from Latin meaning pleasant tasting, like honey, due to the presence of sugar in the urine. Hypokalemia makes it harder for the kidneys to concentrate the urine because there's manipulation of electrolytes that happen in the kidneys during normal function. And without that correct balance, it's possible that BA's kidneys are just dehydrating himself, drawing on body water to force unconcentrated urine through. But BA is still weak. The medical team don't know why this is happening to him, and none of his problems are solved. If unchecked and uncared for, his hypokalemia can cause an abnormal heart rhythm to suddenly appear and can devolve quickly into his heart, shaking in place, no longer actually pumping blood to the rest of his body. Over the next couple days, they tried giving BA some other electrolytes to see if anything can help. They tried stopping all IV fluids and were able to confirm that his kidneys were wasting all the potassium that they were trying to give him. But nothing that they tried could meaningfully replenish his potassium, stop his rhabdomyolysis, and help with his profound muscle weakness. One day, the medical student saw BA have a visitor. It was BA's wife, and she was carrying a large case of soda into his room. Given that no one had bothered BA after morning rounds, and that he never really asked for any more help from the nurse throughout the day, no one saw or paid any attention to anything that he was doing. Standing outside the door, peeking in, the student saw BA drink every single can that was brought in by his wife. He had never seen excess to that degree. The student started getting some ideas of what was happening, but he didn't want to go into the room to be confrontational, especially not without the residents and the fellows around. And after reviewing his notes before going home for the night, he saw housekeeping staff get an extra large bag to take all the cans out. The next morning, the student got to the hospital early. He had prepared notes and questions and printed out some studies that he looked up so he could present it to the medical team. All of this because he went beyond and coincidentally stumbled upon this key piece of information. And if you are a student too looking for help to finance your higher education, you can work with SoFi, a member FDIC bank who's a mobile-first personal finance company who helps members bank, borrow, and invest their money. I'm a SoFi member, and they reached out to me asking if we could talk about student loans. I know student loans can be overwhelming and can feel complicated to...
Listen, I understand your sponsor. We're gonna skip right through this, my boy.
Video. Soda is carbonated and sweetened water. Its original formulations in the 1800s contain what are now classified as controlled substances, but some products now have another substance that we know of as caffeine. Both the sweetening, specifically from the sugar...
Y'all, I'm not even gonna hold you. This made me want to go drink some water. I'm about to go get some water. Literally about to go get some water. I'll be right back.
Caffeine explained everything happening to BA.
Okay.
Sugar is interesting because physically, wherever it is, water will want to flow towards it. In the small science experiment, I dissolve sugar in water and place it into a semi-permeable tube, meaning that only water and not sugar can flow in and out. I submerge the tube in a pool of distilled water that has no sugar in it, and you'll see that water flows towards where there's sugar. That water flows into the tube. In the kidneys, huge excess sugar from drinking 1 to 2 gallons of cola every day for 10 years can make it hard to reabsorb water because that water will want to stay with the sugar. This is documented to happen with others who have been hospitalized for chronically consuming excess soda. But we know it isn't happening to BA, at least this time, because his urine was collected for 24 hours twice, and excess sugar wasn't found in that urine. The other problem would be caffeine. We know caffeine is a stimulant, but it works by blocking inhibition rather than directly stimulating the brain and the body. So that's why it's not considered as strong. You should check out my community tab for quiz questions on things like this. In the body, there's a chemical called adenosine.
Come on,
you may have heard of adenosine triphosphate, ATP, the molecule that our cells use for energy. Adenosine is also the building block for DNA and RNA, but by itself, adenosine is a depressant. It promotes sleep. It dilates blood vessels, allowing more blood to flow through the brain and the heart. It can also be used as a medicine to slow down heart rhythm, helping get a normal beat. If caffeine blocks this inhibition, then that's why it prevents adenosine from promoting sleep. And caffeine constricts the blood vessels of the brain and the heart, and it can increase heart rate. Caffeine is a naturally occurring product, and it's even shaped like adenosine, but it's what it does in the kidneys that explains what's happening to BA. Okay. Caffeine can be a diuretic. There's a similar chemical in the same class of medicines called theophylline that's sometimes used in asthma that was once described as the most remarkable diuretic that we possess today, enough so that it was compared against other diuretics that are used for treating heart failure and was found to be as effective. Today, it appears that adenosine enables the kidneys to hold onto water by reabsorbing sodium under the same principle as sugar, because wherever sodium is, water will flow towards it. When this mechanism is blocked by chronically large amounts of caffeine, like in BA's case, sodium stays in what becomes the urine, and it throws off the electrolyte concentrations, enabling massive amounts of water to become urine. As the amount of flow increases through his kidneys due to diabetes insipidus, it appears that the kidneys concentrated more and more potassium into his urine.
I'm learning all these big old words, y'all.
7 liters of soda every day for at least 10 years caused his hypokalemia.
How do you drink that much
excess
in
urine
10 years?
and explaining why muscle proteins were floating
sick.
around in his blood,
Like I said,
causing
y'all,
the kidneys to shut
water.
down, and why his
Your
muscles
body
were weak
needs
suddenly.
water.
If excess soda consumption was the problem, and soda
Spring
is not
water to be
necessary
exact.
for normal bodily function, then the answer would be to stop drinking soda. You might hear in the news and on websites and in other places from other people about how soda is bad for you. At best, they'll tell you about the diabetes, which is a big problem, one that would get countered by someone else asking about diet soda. At worst, they'll just draw some unrelated comparison without giving any whys. Well, BA's case is one of those detailed whys, and don't take my word for it, similar cases have been described and published in literature multiple times. Early insulin resistance can come from all the habitual excess sugar. I can't understate how big of a problem that is.
Right.
Depending on what you do with your coffee, you can get it there too. Excess blood sugar levels can come from that insulin resistance and diabetes, or it can come directly from drinking massive amounts of soda all at once, and it can cause fluid loss, both from the urine and from watery stools of the GI tract, where potassium is also lost. Then, a consistently elevated caffeine level for months to years, in this case beyond the 400 milligram recommendation, but not enough to be a huge caffeine overload, leads to hypokalemia, nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, polyuria, rhabdomyolysis, ending in acute kidney injury, sudden onset muscle weakness, and electrolyte abnormalities. This can then precipitate into an arrhythmia of the heart, leading to sudden death if untreated, because potassium is involved in heart muscle contraction, and not to mention the permanent kidney damage that would come from the rhabdomyolysis. The amount of people who get sick like this from this amount of soda over this amount of time, it's not going to be that many people.
Eat your bananas, y'all. Eat some bananas and drink some water.
In this setting of gallons of soda every day for several years, but that's not the majority. We're never going to have the actual number of people that this has happened to. Now, what about diet soda? Then there's no sugar. It would still have the caffeine to do what it did to BA. But then how about diet caffeine-free soda? Well, there was a study done looking at food questionnaire results from the 1970s and 80s, 194,000 people, and they found that there appeared to be an association of kidney stone development in the groups that consumed soda. Remember, soda was different back in the United States in the 70s and the 80s, from real sugar to high fructose corn syrup, and the artificial sweeteners are likely in different concentrations now than before. And those are just two things. The overall formulation is likely different now. There's simply a greater selection and availability of sodas today than back when this survey was taken. So take the study results with what you will. Type 2 diabetes and all its comorbidities like heart problems and nerve damage, hypokalemia and all its consequences, and kidney stones are what we're thinking of when speaking of excess chronic soda ingestion. And think of at least kidney stones for caffeine-free diet. What about those artificial sweeteners? I'm going to defer to what the United States FDA said about it. Consumed reasonably and sparingly, I wouldn't spend any more time worrying about this. But the principle remains, if you don't need to put it in your body, don't put it in your body.
Thank you.
The medical team took repeat blood tests after he was told to stop drinking soda in the hospital, and his wife was advised to stop enabling his habit in this institution. They found that his blood potassium levels started to normalize. His kidney function started to return to normal, and his muscle weakness went away. Because the body is able to heal itself, some baseline function was achieved again as BA was able to make a recovery. Thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourself.
Bob has some issues. It's BA, but Bob got some issues. Y'all, if you didn't learn anything from this, stop drinking soda. If you can. Stop drinking soda. And just drink water. Nothing wrong with water. Water's great. We need it. Listen. Try to get 8 glasses of water a day if you can. A nice good gallon a day. If he could do 7 liters of soda every day, you could do 7 liters of water every day. I know too much water is a bad thing too, but I mean, come on. You have like maybe 3 of these. You straight. You all good. I'm done.